Yo, what up? Ogechi here, aka Oaghaji. It's time for another review. Now, today's review is going to be on the 1978 Hong Kong Kung Fu film classic from the mighty Shaw Brothers Studios, The Crippled Avengers, also known as Return of the Five Deadly Venoms, or Mortal Kombat, but with a C and not with a K, okay? Sorry I had to make that joke. They're pretty corny, I know. It stars Chen Tai, Lu Feng, Kwok Joy, Meng, Tian or Sun Ying, Shen or Gong San, Wang Wai, Yan Hon, and many more. And the fight choreography is done by Robert Tai, Lu Feng, and Shen or Gong San. You know what I'm saying? Produced by Mono Feng and Rumei Shaw, written by Kuan Cheh, cinematography by Sao Hui-Chi, edited by Chen Lung, or director Johnson Sao, makeup Wu Su Chen, musical director, Chen Yun Yu, and it's directed by Chan Cheh. Yes. I wanted to talk about this movie for a minute, and I'm going to use disc number 7 of the Volume 1 of the Arrow Video Shaw Brothers Shaw Scope Blu-ray Collection Volume 1. Oh, I said Volume 1 already. Well, I just want to make sure that we're on the same track by repeating it. So, yeah. Anyway, without further ado, let's begin. I'm going to read the synopsis from this booklet here. So, here goes, yo. The character of Du Tiandao, a great martial artist, changes greatly from kind into cruel and cold-hearted after his wife is brutally murdered by an unlawful society, the Three Tigers of the South. The Tigers also chop off the arms of his beloved son Du Chan in the same attack. Since then, Du Tiandao has hated everyone he comes across, and together with his son, who has fitted with 2 metal arms, cruelly abuses anyone who offends them. One day, as Du Tiandao and Du Chen have a meal in a restaurant, they hear someone making a speech nearby. As they approach the speechmaker, Wei Da-Tie luckily manages to escape, while a hawker standing nearby, Chen Shun, who had applauded this speech, attracts the attention of Du Tiandao, who gouges out his 2 eyes. When they return home, Du Tiandao orders his servants to bring Wei Da-Tie to him. When Wei arrives, Du Tiandao forces him to drink a cup of poison and then claps his hands hard over his ears, leaving Wei deaf and dumb. Deaf and mute, not deaf and dumb. As Chen is blind and unable to make a living, Wei lets him in to stay in his metal shop. Soon after, disaster befalls another young man, Hu Oaghaji, as he quarrels with his boss. He shouts that as long as he has his hands, he will not die of starvation, but Du Chen overhears him, and thinking that Hu is mocking his armless state, Li chops the man's legs off with his powerful metal arms. Later, Hu is also given a shelter by Wei Da-Tie. Finding out that the crippled victims are staying at Wei's, Du Tiandao sends his servants to attack Wei's metal shop. He also warns the local peasants to isolate the 3 crippled men. One day, a young, warm-hearted martial artist, Wang Yi, visits the town. When he discovers what has happened to the 3 men, he promises to avenge them. However, Du Tiandao and his son defeat Wang, forcing him to wear a special vice-like crown, which leaves him brain damaged. By chance, the 3 other victims learn that Wang Yi is a disciple of Li Zhenyan, a highly renowned martial artist. Wei Da-Tie, Hu Oaghaji, and Chen Shan accompany Wang Yi to see Li Zhenyan, who promises to teach them martial arts so they can take revenge on Du Tiandao and Du Chen. After practicing for 3 years, Li finally decides that the 4 men are ready to deal with the Du family. The 4 abused and crippled men return to the village and wreak their revenge on the vicious Du and his son. Now, that's a pretty good story, right? Yeah, the story is definitely pretty good, you know what I'm saying? It's a pretty good change of pace. it's definitely an interesting callback to Chan Cheh's One-Armed Swordsman starring Jimmy Wan Yu. You know what I'm saying? Which I think is awesome. It is that way. And it's also a bit of a callback to, I think, Zatoichi from Japan, starring the late great Shin Katsu. But anyway, it's pretty cool, you know what I'm saying, that you have these characters that were crippled, but they were able to, train and learn Kung Fu from this master, to help them out with their disabilities and weakness, which is cool. Like Lo Mont's character, who is deaf and mute, Phillip Kwok's character that is blind, Sun Chen's character who has no legs, and then, Shen's character who is now, has brain damage. But they all went through it with Kung Fu training, especially Sun Chen's character that has metal legs, which is cool. And, and Phillip Kwok's character using his, hearing to his advantage. And, Lo Mont's character, uses, sign hand language and whatnot, which is cool. And as well as his sight, which I think is awesome. The characters have some very great development throughout the movie, you know what I'm saying? With all the trials and tribulations, you know what I'm saying? And the entire cast as a whole, they did a great performance, especially Chen Kuan Tai, who went from being this noble martial artist to this cruel, tyrant, which is a nice, interesting twist of events, you know what I'm saying? That's all I have to say about that. The story, characters, and acting all get a 5 out of 5. Now, the action is just phenomenal. Very well choreographed, very well shot, and very well edited, and very well lit, you know what I'm saying? Robert Tai, Lu Feng, and Chen, they all did a great job with the choreography, you know what I'm saying? And Chan Cheh definitely did his thing in picking them as a replacement to his longtime collaborator, Aghaji, who will go on to do his own films like 36 Chambers, Shaolin, and Heroes of the East. And those two films were successful in Hong Kong in beating, Chan Cheh's Five Venoms, which is pretty interesting, which is the film that Chan Cheh did before this film, you know what I'm saying? And as y'all already know, that I reviewed the Five Venoms, years ago, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, the film as a whole was shot very well, especially since, granted it's shot in location in the Shaw Brothers Studios, but it's, it looks convincing. It takes you into this world of ancient China, you know what I'm saying, which is pretty cool. And Shaw Brothers always does this, even though they shot this in their studios. It brings you into that world that they create in their films, especially in their martial arts films, you know what I'm saying, which I always liked. That's all gotta say about that. The action is awesome, some classic kung fu action, you know what I'm saying, with some, and a great representation of disabled characters, you know what I'm saying. They're basically a perfect example of disabled characters done right, that weren't created to earn some, brownie points or any of that nature, which a lot of the Western movies these days are doing. So, other than that, the action, cinematography, editing, and lighting all get a 5 out of 5 as well. The music is also pretty good, you know what I'm saying. It also uses some, I think they use some library music along the way, and probably some original music. I'm not too sure about that, but from what I've heard, the music was composed very well. So that's all I have to say about that. The music gets a 5 out of 5 as well, because I don't want to end up repeating myself. Overall, The Crippled Avengers is an awesome 1978 Hong Kong Kung Fu film classic that I highly recommend y'all checking out, especially if y'all are fans of the Venom mob, you know what I'm saying? Especially with their full-on real outing as a group with the Five Venoms, aka Five Deadly Venoms. So this film gets a 5 out of 5. hopefully y'all enjoy this review, despite some hiccups here and there, you know what I'm saying? Even though it's a little bit long than I usually do it. But anyway, yeah, let me know what y'all think about the Crippled Avengers in the comments below, you know what I'm saying? If y'all like this video, y'all can like and share it. If y'all like this content, y'all can subscribe if you know what I'm saying? You're not obligated to do so, but if you want to subscribe, that's cool, you know what I'm saying? I apologize for being tongue-tied back there. Anyway, yeah, follow me in my other social media accounts and hit that notification bell once you subscribe to the channel to keep y'all updated on the uploads. And stay tuned for more other reviews and more other videos along the way. So with all that said, this is your boy, Ogechi Aghaji, aka Oaghaji, signing out. Peace.